Thank you so much to Bud Light Seltzer for being a presenting sponsor. We love these drinks and can't wait to tell you more about them. Keep listening for more.
All right. Hey, everybody. Was it on me? There we go. Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's time for another wonderful episode of the Bill
Bert.
Podcast. All right. What's going on? How are you? Today, we have a guest, as we do. One of my favorite comics who's doing something incredible. Felipe Esparza, our guest today, has not one but two stand-up specials coming out, one in Anglais and one in Espanol, correct?
Correct.
That's amazing. So I have a million questions about this, but before we do, I just want to say you look great.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, you do look good, man. You've been working out?
You're doing something.
Since last year, I guess I've been going on a treadmill. I started at 15 minutes. I started that day that you guys started that sober October.
Yeah.
I didn't stay sober, but I just worked out. I ran a treadmill like 15 minutes a day, 20, 30, and now I'm at 45.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you look great. And
I gotta tell you, I'm inspired by you. I'm doing a thing right now, and they had us pick our menus, and they were like vegan. Every time I see vegan, I think of you. And I was like, I can't do vegan, but I've been pescatarian so far for 7 days.
Pescatarian. That's just eating fish, right?
Yeah, just fish. And I got to be honest with you, I like it. I might stay pescatarian.
Yeah, fish is good.
Dude.
It is good. I don't know how many fish are left, so you might want to get on that diet soon or just eat the man-made salmon.
Knowing Bert, he'll probably have his own little salmon farm in the valley somewhere.
He will.
You go out there.
We'll have a fish farmer as a guest, and Bert will get in business with them.
So I think both Bill and my first question is, Felipe, do you get paid twice? One in pesos and one in
I didn't think of that.
Man, I wish. When they offered me like the English one, I kind of suggested to do the Spanish one too.
Really? Is that how this all came about?
They asked me, how good is your Spanish? And I was like, I kind of lied. I said, it's good. You know, I could do that. But I have never done stand-up in Spanish. When they had approached me, I don't think I had like maybe 3 minutes. That's it. But I really had to work hard because I didn't know how to approach this. I didn't know how to translate the words because my Spanish.
But you can speak it, right?
Nah, I cannot lie. I know all the lingo like orale and cállate cabrón, pinche güey, no mames. I get away with it, man. I've been getting away with it for years. I go to the improv kitchen. ¿Cómo está mi gente? Me vale verga, güey. Estos pinches güeros me la pelan. And they're like, yeah, cabrón, cállate. But they're like on the back of their head, they know I'm a pocho, you know, a guy that doesn't know how to speak Spanish that well. And a lot of my English words.
What does a pocho mean? Someone who's just been Americanized, born here?
Yeah, or came from Mexico real young and eats hamburgers, likes pizza.
That's enough to get called a pocho?
Yes, man. Like I'm cut in between because my Spanish is just only good enough to get like an extra corn from the corn man, you know, or bribe my way into places where there's a lot of Mexicans inside.
Well, how good is it now after you did the special? What did you do? Did you hang out with some people that spoke it? Did you go Rosetta Stone? That's the white guy way of doing it. That's what I do.
I had a show at the Comedy Store, a Spanish show, and I didn't know that the Netflix people were going to show up to watch the show. And I had to do it an hour, but it was only my second time doing an hour, and it didn't go so well. And they were talking to my agent outside the improv. I'm sorry, outside the Comedy Store. And they were saying, I don't know if he's ready, man. I don't know. He kind of messed up a lot of words and then switched back to English. And then he was speaking Spanglish, a lot of words that don't even make any sense. You know, and the crowd was laughing, but I don't think anybody in Latin America is going to understand what he's saying. So
what did you have to do then? I had no idea.
Mexico.
You what?
I had to go to Mexico. I went to San Diego to the Comedy Palace because there was a Mexican comedian, or this woman. She had sold out 2 shows on a Sunday, and I was like, damn. The headliner on the main room had half a room. She sold out 2 shows in the back. So I asked her, like a young comic, I waited for her to show up to the club. I came out of my car. Hey, I'm Felipe Esparza. Can I do like 5 minutes? Can I open up for you? She said, sure, go ahead. Get off on time. So
did she know who you were or no?
She didn't care. She didn't care, man. She sold out 2 shows on Sunday. They didn't want to give her the.
So you went up to do 5 minutes. I'm just gonna do 5 minutes in Spanish. So
I drove from my LA like 2.5 hours just to ask her, and she said yeah, and it went well. So I kept going back every other week. I didn't really have time to do this because I was on tour doing the Bad Hombre tour in English, and then like every once in a while I would have a day off to go do a Spanish show. So in San Diego, it was going well in San Diego, but my fans were coming to the show and they speak English and Spanish. These are the Mexicans, man, that go do their jobs, who are lawyers, who are doctors, who speak English. But on the weekends, man, they put on cowboy boots and they forget how to speak English, They're like wearing boots with big old belt buckles, talking shit, claiming their Mexican hometown as pride. Fuck you, Sinaloa, me la pela, Michoacan. But they all live in a valley, like, come on, man. But
so did they get shit for that?
Those guys were coming to my show, and every time I mess up a Spanish word, they would laugh and just support me. But it didn't work. I had to go to Mexico. So I went to Tijuana, to a place where they have comedy on Tuesday nights. And man, it was like we had to cross the border, man. I was paranoid, right? I watched Narcos. I watched every documentary, So I'm like every other white American man thinking that I'm going to get kidnapped. Like
every other white American.
Who the fuck are you? So you crossed the border.
I thought you'd be worried that they wouldn't think you were a citizen and they wouldn't let you back in. I didn't think that you were worried about going down there.
I'm not worried about that because a lot of the INS border patrols, they're like comedy fans, Like they know who I am. Like I just go like this, and they let me in.
Yeah.
They ask me how was the show, And but over there is different. As soon as you get there, man, like there's a smell. Like you're not in America no more. Like it's a smell of burnt tire, burnt trash. I don't know, burnt body. They're burning everything over there, and as soon as you cross the border, Mexican border patrol is wearing leftover Marine uniform from Desert Storm. America probably donated. But like, it's too tight. It's too big for him. Like, but he's wearing they're wearing guns bigger than their heads, and they're just passing everybody through.
So what was the crowd? So you're seeing all of this stuff. How are you maintaining? Because this reminds me of a long time ago, the first time I ever did like the Uptown show, the all black show. But at least I stayed in America. It was hilarious. Like I walked down it was just like I just walked in to a club, and then all of a sudden it was like I might as well have been in Harlem, what Harlem used to be. But the second I came out, I mean, I could have gotten like a crepe like 2 doors down, but you actually had to go.
But what's also crazy, Bill, what's also crazy, what I'm thinking is when you do an Uptown room, you also have all the pivot of improving in your own language. When you're going to Mexico, you're kind of caught in this framework of like, these are the jokes I know that work, and these are the words that I know that work. But like your improv couldn't go, you can't just improv like you would in English. You're kind of like, stuck in
I would get heckled in Spanish, and I would just stay quiet, like not what to say.
Oh my God.
There was like a lot of Mexican comedians going up, and me and my friend Rodrigo, Martin, really only Americans there. The crowd was.
Did anyone know who you were?
Yeah, there was a lot of half of the crowd were Mexicans that were deported from America.
Oh,
like wow. They were all deported. Like they were all thugs, And it's funny, man. Like I got to know these guys by going there all year. Every cholo, every gangbanger, every guy that speaks English that gets deported and goes to Mexico, they work telemarketing, man. So if you have a problem with your phone, you're talking to an ex-MS-13 or a 18th Street gang member, and he's fucking trying to hold his composure. But he's like saying, "Orale, Holmes, you know." There's my brother who lives in Mexico. That's what he does. Other sells sword. I met funny, man. I met a bunch of deportees at my show. There was these Marines, like these Marines. I show Marines, but they're like Mexican American who also got deported, who like fought in Iraq, fought in Afghanistan, fought in fucking Desert Storm, fought in Korea.
They were Mexican and then they fucked up here in the United States. They kicked them out. But they were born here?
I know one of the guys was an old man who lived in Echo Park. He's like 74 years old. He goes by a gallon of milk. His name pops up, you know, red alert, red alert. And they found out that he never went back to process his green card because I guess he didn't keep up with it. So his green card has expired, 12 years ago, and he never went to go register to become a citizen. So, man, they fucking deported his ass. He's just an old man, no family over there. And they have a community in Tijuana where all the veterans from America who got deported live. So it's like a veteran community because they're like frowned upon by the Mexican troops and the Mexican police. So they got to live in this area where they could just protect each other, you know, and live amongst their own community until they fix their papers. So
how they
shit, man. You go over there, man.
I don't know why human beings behave that way with each other, man. It's depressing.
And every 4th of July, they put on their Marine outfits and they stand by the wall and they salute the flag, like San Diego.
I wouldn't be doing that down there.
But they're nuts, bro.
You wouldn't believe how quick I would try to assimilate. I'd be putting tanner on.
Me llamo Guillermo.
Dyeing my beard black. Bro, I would do anything I could to not stick out like I do.
You guys wouldn't have a problem, man. You just put on a Canelo shirt and that's it, bro. You start
Canelo shirt. Guillermo Burr.
Just say call yourself Memo. Because the nickname for Bill is Memo.
Memo?
Yeah, short for Guillermo. Memo.
Yeah. Oh, Memo. Guillermo is okay, because I know Guillaume. That's in French.
And Bert will be Bettine.
Bettine?
I think that's way cooler, huh?
Bro, but Bert is the kind of guy that he'll stimulate in Tijuana, bro. By the end of the week, he'll be owning that place, bro. I mean, el mecánico, way. For real, bro, because he'll be over there hunting and shit, killing deer and this and all that. There's a lot of dudes like Bert who are Mexican, who look just like him, who live in Tijuana, bro.
Really?
They just talk differently, you know. They whistle after everything. Like, where you going? You going over there? No, I'm going over here. Dude, when I got to the show, the green room is above the kitchen. So it is fucking hot. It was like 130 degrees. The floor felt hot. I don't want to make fun of this club, but I went to go wash my hands, and I went to ask the manager what I turned on the water and in Spanish, prendí la agua y no agua. Anyway, I told him I turned on the water and sarcastically, no water. He goes, don't worry about it, mijo. You see that bucket right there? There's warm water right there. Just put your hand inside. So I have to wash my hands and then like water inside. Like, but I don't want to put my hands in water that everybody put their hands inside, man. So I just said, nah, man.
How good.
I should wash my hands with a bottle of water, man, like an American.
Hey, so you keep going back to this club. This really fascinates me, the work that you put into this. Because like this is something I became obsessed with, was trying like challenging myself to try and get better. So, but I never dealt with going to another country, having to learn the language and all of that. So you started going down there, what'd you say, like once a week?
I was going there like 3 times a month, every other week.
And you just would you gradually do more and more time, stretching out
Yes.
your act? At what point did you feel like how long had you done it where you felt like, okay, I'm turning the corner, I feel comfortable? Could you handle a heckler if they came at you with, because I figured that they're speaking with an accent from wherever they're from down there, they got slang. Like at what point did you feel like did you ever get to that point, I guess?
I think by the end of December, December 2019, that's been a year.
Mm-hmm.
I went over and I did an hour and a half, and then they didn't want me to get off. But by this time, I didn't know what I was saying. You know, I was doing my old act in Spanish. You know, trying to remember my old act in Spanish. I mean,
But at that point, you felt you had command of the language, and if anybody heckled you, you could handle it?
Yeah, I could handle it. You know, I would just have to do it like in a real Mexican accent. You know, because a lot of the comedians over there, they're in character. You know, so I would say like "chinga tu madre, way," you know, like that, or "pinche cara de mil golpes." Yeah, "pinche cara de mil golpes." You know, like, motherfucker, you have a face that got been punched 1,000 times. But in Spanish, you know, there's a rhythm to it, and everybody laughs. But for the most part, I didn't get heckled because they knew that I was trying to do something. You know, they knew that I was trying to build a Spanish set.
How like that must have been an incredible feeling that first time you did like enough to do a special.
Man,
and you killed, man. I would have been like be high after that.
When I was in Silmar, California, there's this little Mexican bar called Casa Torres. It's right by the 405 and San Fernando, like when you get to the freeway. And this is a big Mexican restaurant. Like, they have 3 tortilla makers. They have three banquet halls, and they have like they have mariachi shows most of the time. But some comedian named some guy started doing stand-up comedy there, but they started doing stand-up comedy in Spanish. So I went in there. I started doing like my own. I started doing once a month there at Casa Torres, headlining, once a month in Riverside, and once a month in San Diego, and 3 times in Tijuana. But this place was packed, dude. It was free to get in. Like, and most of these gigs that did in Spanish, they were charging to get in. But I didn't get no money from it. I feel like I'm not good enough, you know. But I would just give the money to the openers and the headliner. The young comics. They would just keep most of it. But this place was free and it was packed. I mean, people would get there at 5 p.m. and the show would start at 8. At this show, I had an awesome set in Spanish. I didn't mumble. I didn't go, I didn't have to fuck with anybody. And the dudes from Netflix were inside the place. And I didn't know that. And they told me, oh, great set, man. This is the one. He goes, you did it. He goes, just keep practicing it, you know, memorize it better, whatever. And that was like 7 months.
So here's the thing, man. Please tell me you're going to keep doing this, because I know you've probably realized how much of the globe you just opened up for you to go do a run of dates. And then not to mention that, I mean, then you become almost like recession proof, because as countries go up and down, you have all of these places you can play. And if, you know, the dollar tanks.
Here's the problem is that Mexican Spanish is different than Spanish, and different than Peruvian Spanish, and different Bolivian Spanish.
But isn't it like
Spanish?
But isn't it like I go to Ireland, I go to Scotland, I can't quite understand them, but we understand each other enough?
Yeah. No, but here's my question though. Hold on. Before we talk about you touring, I want to go back to you working on this act, because your touring is fascinating to me, because I know there's also like you know, you never call a Puerto Rican guy Mexican, you never call a Mexican guy Puerto Rican. That's like, I'm curious that, but like, how did you do the set in Spanish and then that same set in English, or did you choose different jokes to go in Spanish and different jokes to go in English?
When I was in San Diego, I met a comedian from Tijuana, Mexico, named Joel Sotomayor, and he was real cool. And he toured with me for 3 shows here in California, Fresno, Visalia, and he transcribed my whole set, and he wrote it down in Spanish for me. And from there, I would just take a look at it and try to like make it in my tone, in my flavor. But there were some jokes that just did not work in Spanish. And I wrote a couple of jokes in Spanish also that didn't work in English. So the Spanish set is 10 minutes different from the English set.
Really? So
we have to cut some jokes that we're not playing right now.
So it's technically the same set, but you just had to tweak it for Spanish and tweak it for, like you said, your face looks like it's been punched a million times. In Spanish, that rolls off your tongue, and it sounds harder than when you say it in English. It sounds like something a first grader would say. We're like, yeah, that's crazy.
And so this set works in Mexico. So if you went to Puerto Rico to do it, you'd have to make adjustments, but not as big as adjustments are going from speaking English to speaking Spanish.
I think it will work in Puerto Rico because the way I'm talking in Spanish, I'm talking like I would say like anybody who knows Mexican culture in Los Angeles, and I'm not talking about the Mexican culture in Mexico. It's different. But
you're talking about the food trucks that have tacos? Is that what you're speaking of?
I'm talking about the Mexican culture, like Danny Trejo, that type of Latino, Chicano. They're going to understand it because if you know that movie Blood In, Blood Out, you're going to understand me.
Oh,
I have fans in Morocco, and there are these 2 Muslim girls who sent me a video of them quoting that movie Blood In, Blood Out. I mean, they're wearing their hijab, and they're talking like a Chicana chicks, and they're quoting a movie about gangbanging. And when these chicks came to America, they didn't go to fucking New York, San Francisco. They went to Boyle Heights, and they stood in front of the same pine tree as Miklo in Blood In, Blood Out, and they were like this.
No fucking way.
When I was in Amsterdam, I did a show in Amsterdam. I had all these guys come up to me, and all they want to know were about East LA. Hey, brother, really that crazy? If I ever go there, would you take me where all the gangs are at? I mean, that's all they care about.
I saw something recently.
For Europeans, American meat is like us watching The Godfather, which I don't understand. But like the way we like The Godfather, for Europeans and Japanese, they love American meat and Blood In, Blood Out. I guess they think all Mexicans are like that.
I saw a thing, I forget what country, but it was the same thing. They latched on to like the lowrider thing, that whole stuff. They got into those cars. And dude, it was like one of the whitest countries in Europe. There was just this little scene up. They just loved the lowriders and the lace top and all of that shit. And then I saw another one where they had gotten into like, I don't know, it's more like, a lot of like the LA South Central, more African American type of stuff.
So what country? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just saying that they were doing it the way. I mean, it was an incredible impression. I would say that. I mean, it's weird because like if we do it here, it's like cultural appropriation with all the bullshit we've been through. Yeah. But over there, I think then it almost becomes complimentary. Like, wow, man, our cars are so cool that this went across an ocean, as opposed to if I went out and got a lowrider, I'd probably look like an asshole.
What countries would your act in Spanish be difficult in? Do you think? Like what South American countries?
Probably Portugal, because they speak Portuguese.
Oh yeah, that would be really tough.
And Brazil.
Yeah, those would be.
But I'm pretty sure it's gonna rock in El Salvador and Nicaragua, Guatemala, Venezuela, Honduras, all of Latin America.
All of Latin America. What I find interesting, and you said that they were like that primarily Mexican, and I think I've seen this. I watch a lot of the different international acts when they come out. Because I find it really interesting because you'll read the translation. What's interesting, what works, you know? Like I remember there was a Korean guy, and he just kept talking about like the supreme leader or something, and you're like, and you just like he did, but in that country, it's a really big thing to say. But to us, we're just like, huh? But like you say that characters work there. And when I remember the first time I ever saw you, you definitely are a character to a white guy. Like to a white guy, I was fascinated. I was like, I remember watching you going, I got to get to know that guy. He smokes weed. He's Latino. He's Mexican. He's like everything East LA. How does that read? Do you read American to Mexican crowds? Like, do you read as like privileged, grow up speaking English, parents made it over the border? Like, do you read as like, do you have to like almost change your character a tad bit and go, you know, does that make sense?
Well, it's funny, when I first auditioned for Last Comic Standing, like the first season 1, I didn't make it through. And I remember Barry Katz walking up to me asking me the same thing. He said, he goes, do you always do that character? He goes, are you funny without it? You know, like, when do you come up with it, right? But he was like lurching over me, right? Like in my face.
Yeah. Would you ever
consider, well, just me,
Philip?
Dude. Yeah, big his teeth and shit. And I was nervous. I was nervous when I first started doing stand-up because one of my favorite comedians was Stephen Wright. So I started off doing, believe it or not, deadpan. I was deadpan, you know, and I just wanted to stick to be deadpan, like, you know. And so I would hang around with Gene Pompa, and he would stick to being deadpan. And I started doing rooms that actually were deadpan wasn't like conducive, I guess, to the audience. And there was people throwing shit at me and talk right, you mumbling motherfucker, you know, you mush mouth piece of shit. And there's a lot of people, Mexicans, telling me this shit. I went one time, this guy told me the same thing my dad told me on stage. And I was like, fuck, does he know my dad? He could just talk like a fucking machine gun. Ta, 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 ta. My dad would always say that, habla con una pinche matalladora, cabrón, pa, pa, ta, 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 ta. You know? So I was like, fuck, okay. So I couldn't react to hecklers in a monotone deadpan voice. So I would just have to yell at them, and so just yelling at the audience. And one day this other comic told me, you know, you always change your look. Sometimes you're really fucking bald. Other times your hair is straight like a fucking Mayan warrior. Choose a look. So I started letting my hair grow, and I let it grow, man. And then that's it, dude. And started being crazy, man.
But it's who you are. It's who you are. And I remember the first time I saw you was at Dublin's. I had to follow you. I had to follow you, and I could not. Have you ever gotten on stage, Bill, and you can't stop thinking about the guy before you and how?
No, that's never happened to me, Bert. What is that like? Dude, Dublin's was the fucking worst. First of all, you went there, and everyone I just felt was waiting for Dane to go on. Like, that was Dane's house. And you went in there, and if you weren't even on his path, I mean, I used to get so psyched out when I would do that room. For people listening, it was this amazing bar and this amazing room. Jay Davis booked it. It was this great giant.
Nice.
Yeah, giant place, huge bar, great sports bar on Sunday to watch football. Then upstairs, they just had this cavernous room that would just fill up with beautiful Hollywood. It was just like everybody in there, they looked like they all had Botox before Botox. Everybody was gorgeous. And I don't know. I always felt
Britney Spears, Justin Timberlake, NSYNC, Backstreet Boys, Vince Vaughn, Jon Favreau. I mean, I remember looking around and being like, this is young Hollywood.
DMX will be in there too.
Who?
DMX, I saw him inside too, hanging out.
Yeah, really? I did not feel.
And then a lot of biker gangs would be there too on Monday nights. It got scary at that place after a while.
Yeah, what's going on with that? The place now is, I don't even know what it is. It still exists, but it doesn't really have a sign on it or anything. I don't know. It's weird. But anyway, so you saw him, Bert. I just sidetracked us, of course, because that's what I do. You were just saying you used to see him at Dublin's?
No.
You had to follow me at Dublin?
You just acted like some kid, like, don't call on me in class. You just like, No. I don't know.
I had to follow McDublin's, and I remember going. Sometimes when you find this is obviously a compliment. When you, as a comic, when you hear a very original, authentic voice, you get. I get wrapped up in it, and I get on stage, and I want to say to the audience, "Hey, I saw what you saw too. Like, I'm also in the same boat you're in, but now I got to perform, and I can't stop thinking about him either. I'm watching him walk out of the room also. I want to stop and go, that was amazing, man. How long you been doing it? Like, I watched you were leaving, and everyone's like, tap you on the shoulder, and I was just like, my name's Bert. I know you're thinking hot sexy name. Do you do porn? And everyone's like, you're not like him. I love watching you do stand-up. You're one of the few guys who also you can put a clip online, and the clip is as good as watching you on stage. Like, you're just phenomenal. But I don't know where this was other than to tell you. But when the Mexicans in Mexico, my internet is unstable. When the Mexicans in Mexico see you, do they see you as an American Mexican?
Oh, yeah.
Mexican American. And do they see you as like
an American? They see me as an ocho, a guy who's from Mexico, a guy who's from America. Once I started doing my Spanish, they knew when I messed up a word, and I started noticing the joke now work. Not bombing. And like, oh shit, I'm bombing in Spanish finally. This is not gonna go good. And like I was not getting the words right. I was saying the words. I was speaking backwards. I was speaking English, but saying it in Spanish. If you don't understand what I'm saying, like we all speak a certain way, verbs, adjectives in English, but I was saying that in Spanish, backwards. Like if I was like, for example, in Spanish, I would say we got robbed is nos robaron, N-O-S. But I kept saying los because I'm used to saying los robaron, right? And that shit's wrong, man. But when they corrected me the first time, I sounded like an American, man, being corrected. Like, that's not how you say guacamole, But I just said, well, that's the way I said it, like I sound like a white guy. That's how I say it, eh? I've been saying like this forever, and I'm going to stick to it. And they said, no, motherfucker, you're going to be saying it wrong, and nobody's going to understand you once you leave Mexico. Nobody in Uruguay is going to know what the fuck you're saying. I'll suggest you say it this way. And I said, all right, I'll say it that way. But my mouth does not allow me to say it that way. My mind, everything, the way I think, is hard. And he goes, well, you got to say it this way.
I get what that, because the few things that I've ever done trying to learn another language, I know like in English, we'll say like whatever, the red pencil. And they always say the pencil red. Like they'll say what the fuck it is and then describe it. So
yeah.
So you were translating that way.
That way.
And then they did. So then immediately they were like, all right, this guy, if they didn't already figure it out, they were like, this guy.
They figured out right away, man. They were like,
did you address it? I mean, I would figure out how to say it in Spanish. Like, all right, yeah, I am. I'm fucking whatever that word is, meaning I'm from America. And it's great. Decided to come down here and slum it. No.
Another word I couldn't pronunciate. There's no word for it. I had a word. I just took it off. Cock blocking. There's no word in Spanish for cock blocking. Like somebody could walk in there and take your chick and go be with her. There's no word for it. I guess they kill each other, I guess. So I kept making, I made up a word. I guess they just have a shootout outside, in the OK Corral, but there's no word for cock blocking. And then I said, soy bloqueador de gallo, which is the correct translation,
But it doesn't rhyme.
So it didn't work. Then I finally said, espantapitos, which is scared dick away, which didn't work. So I just said, forget about it, man. This joke's not fucking funny anyways. It's not gonna work.
I think Bert froze up on us here. I would think that you could have actually done material. You could still do material on stuff like that. Because if you know how to say that in Spanish, that's funny that they don't have cock blocking because you guys just go out and kill each other. Like, all you have to do is say in America, we got a thing called the cock block.
And then
you're trying to get laid and they fuck this shit up. And I notice you guys don't have it down here. So you guys must just
Bill, then you turn into that. Then you turn to that hack American that goes over to England and is like, so you call your fanny pack a fanny pack? That's funny. That means pussy here. You know, like.
Yes.
But here's the thing, Bert. We all have to do that when you get over there until you get the lay of the land. Then you can let that shit go. But you got to do it.
But
hey, your schools are red over here. They're gray in my country. That was the first time I was in London.
Yeah, every transplant.
I thought you were gonna say that.
Like,
I
can be bigger here.
I remember an American doing a joke about the cigarettes. I think they're called fags in England.
Yeah.
That was a joke. He said the American guy kept saying, we smoke them over in America too. Something like that. But the word was of course the word cock blocker didn't work. But when I said bloqueador de pollos, that joke would work in Spain because cock, to suck a cock in Spain, you say, yo me chupo un pollo, which means I suck a chicken. But that's the way you say it in Spain, like it's the country of Spain. I saw a movie once where this woman said, tengo muchos años que me chupo un buen pollo. And I'm like, and the bottom it says, it's been a long time since I sucked a cock. And I say, okay. But pollo doesn't work in Mexico, so just fuck this joke,
This podcast is brought to you by Bud Light Seltzer, which is unquestionably good with their new flavors. Their new flavors are here, Bill. Try to guess what 3 flavors you'd like to have.
Maybe whiskey flavored. More alcohol in it. I don't know. Mango, peach, blueberry.
Grapefruit, pineapple, and cranberry. What a genius decision. What a genius decision to add cranberry to this lineup. Because one of my favorite drinks in the world is a little bit of vodka, seltzer, and cranberry. It's a great, great refreshing drink.
Oh, the Cape Cod where I'm from.
It's so funny. Whoever has cranberry on them, and you always pour too much cranberry, but this one is absolutely fantastic. These 3 great new flavors are available in the new Remix VP starting this September. Refreshing seltzer with natural ingredients, and what I love about these is there's only 100 calories in each with less than 1 gram of sugar. And you know why they have that, Bill?
Because people like to get fucked up and stay in shape.
No, it's because of their 5-step filtration process for quality taste and a clean finish. What's great is it has the familiar Bud Light easy drinking name for those of you looking for an approachable brand in a wide, hard seltzer category. There really are so many seltzers that you don't know who to trust these days. Am I right, Bill?
That's one of everybody's worried about this presidential election. I just want a seltzer that I can trust.
Well, you can trust Bud Light Seltzer because it's made with real cane sugar for a higher quality taste. Here's what I want you guys to do right now. Bill gave us one last week. Bud Light Seltzer is looking for its first ever chief meme officer because while they have delicious seltzer, their memes need some work. The job responsibilities include taste testing the product, making hilarious memes, including verbal memes, and figuring out what rhymes with Bud Light Seltzer. Bill, you gave us last week what?
Mud Light Seltzer? What was it?
I don't know. Give us a new one, Bill.
Oh, I'm not smart, Bert. Don't put me on the spot like this. This is for the fans. This is for like somebody, whatever that generation is after millennials. Generation Y.
Generation Y. So if you're part of that generation, go to Bud, or any generation, and want to try to do this, go to Bud Light Seltzer needsmemes.com to apply. That's Bud Light Seltzer needs memes to apply. Get it delivered right to your door if you want, or you can just find a retailer near you at budlight.com/Bill Bert, or you can just pick it up at your local grocery store, convenience store, liquor store. Unquestionably good Bud Light Seltzer.
I'm calling it right now. A guy from the greatest generation is going to win it because the seltzer will rhyme with some guy that he killed in Italy during World War II. That's my prediction.
Bingo.
I'm on it. I called it.
Awesome. That was a really great podcast. I could have done that.
Yeah, that was fun. I never heard him long form like that. He had me going. All that stuff.
He looks like fucking John Belushi the first season of like SNL. Like he looks all like just wild, dangerous. Like, what's this guy gonna say? And then he gets up there and he's this total chill, like he was saying, like this storyteller. I never noticed that about him, but there's no, you just settle the fuck in.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then when he tells the story, you're like, oh, well, there's that wild dude. Like, imagine him on PCP biting your fucking ear off.
Dude, he never once lulled, like lulled. Like there was every story just took up.
Hey, how about, just real quick, how about Gaffigan going fucking off the, because there's too many chickens in the street, and it would be really confusing.
Too many chickens, dog. No roosters.
I love that you were just preparing for this special, and you saw this woman say this vile thing, and then you're sitting there as a comic going, I can use that. I'm going to try that next week down in Tijuana, see how that flies.
Man.
That's amazing, man. This is actually, I don't know, it's inspiring me to work on my, I can't do anything to that level, but like now that we've talked a little bit about that, your special is called Bad Decisions. So it sounds to me, obviously, like as usual, what I love about your style, you're a storyteller and you talk about your life. Is that essentially what people can expect?
Yes. What got me on this path was when I was on Bert Kreischer's podcast, and we shared some stories there. And then I was on the Champs with Moshe Kasher and Neil Brennan. And I remember being on his podcast saying, Neil Brennan said, well, you got like around 5 movies in 1 hour of stories. And then when I was on Jay Larson and
Ryan Stickler,
their podcast, I shared like some of those stories that are in my act on Bad Decisions. And I never thought that I could make these fucked up, sad ass stories funny. You know,
dude, that one where you had a green light on you, as you said, like it was sort of open season on you. I forget how I just ended with you whipping this guy with a belt in the street.
Oh yeah,
I mean, I was just going like that is that's a story I could see making its way late night on and worked out at the Comedy Store.
Yeah, man. I don't. Yeah, that guy was trying to kill me. He was choking me to death, and there was no other way to get away from him, you know. And he's a pretty strong guy. I was on PCP. You know, you've been on PCP, right, Bert?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
we're
I
sort of
bit his ear off, man. I bit like this part of his ear off. It started bleeding everywhere, crying like a little bitch. You know,
time out. If you bite somebody's ear off, they ought to be able to, you know, they got to make what
I'm only saying that because
sound you're supposed to make.
I'm only saying that because at the time I wasn't doing nothing wrong. You know, I was just a guy who had just came from watching Terminator 2. I was like just thinking about Arnold Schwarzenegger. I was going to go watch Rambo on VHS. You know, drink a 40-ouncer and smoke weed and have a good time. And then this guy, out of nowhere, starts picking on me for no reason. And man, I didn't just go see the Terminator, Bert and Bill. I was dressed like Arnold Schwarzenegger to the movie. I was wearing my black Army issued steel-toe boots. I had my jeans on. I had my white T-shirt. I had my fake pleather jacket on. I fucking love Arnold Schwarzenegger, man. So on the way home,
that wasn't even some street shit. This guy just picked on you coming out of the movies, and next thing you know, he's missing half his fucking ear, and you got blood all over your shirt. Like, how wouldn't you take that to a comedy club?
I was afraid that this guy is still alive somewhere, waiting his moment, you know. But I don't know.
That sounds like a left turn in a Tarantino movie. I mean, I don't know.
Hey, this is a weird question. I just realized this. The Netflix execs weren't Robbie. It was like Netflix Latino. Netflix. Like
no, Robbie and the other guy.
Robbie
the guy from Montreal, right?
Yeah.
Robbie, the guy that used to be backstage at the Montreal Festival. Yeah, it was Robbie. And there was a guy in charge of the Latino International. I think he spoke to Tom Segura too.
Yeah. I think Segura's doing one in Spanish.
Yeah, and then the fucking pandemic started, bro. I was lucky, bro. I shot mine the weekend that Kobe Bryant passed away with his daughter and the rest of the people in the helicopter. That weekend happened, and I had to shoot on Tuesday and Wednesday, I think. Man, people came in wearing Lakers jerseys, real sad, and we had to put them in the back because you can't wear Lakers jerseys. And they were like, the first show was like, we had a bunch of openers go up, and the crowd was still kind of sad, you know, but we got them going by the second show.
Where did you tape this special?
At the Observatory Theater in Santa Ana, the original Galaxy Theater from back in the days.
And
wow, that was awkward. My bad. I made a very off-color joke, and you guys froze, and I was like, oh, sorry.
What color was it? No.
So you taped on 2 different nights, and did you do 1 English, 1 Spanish both nights, or 2 English, 2 Spanish?
2 English, 2 Spanish. We fixed the setup for the Spanish. I wore a suit with I wanted to wear ruffles. A ruffle jacket, a ruffle shirt.
I like what you're wearing in it. I like what you're wearing. I also like the print. Like I don't know if you guys are like this, but I get really obsessed about the choices comics make. I like the print on your special. It's really cool. It's really cool looking. I like the poster, and I love what you wear. I love the location. I watched the trailer today. It looks really beautiful.
The music also, the music for the show, for the special, it's a local band from Boyle Heights, Tropa Mágica, and they sang and they wrote the song in English, and then they did it in Spanish also for the Spanish special. And then my wife, she helped edit it, and we wrote the subtitles, so the subtitles could be on point to what I'm saying, because sometimes when you watch Narcos, you see the Spanish subtitle doesn't match nothing. The English subtitle never matches what they're saying.
Really?
So yeah, man.
Why is that?
I don't know, man, because they have a guy who went to college, you know, translating everything. They should have somebody from the streets. Sometimes you hear, "Pinche güey, te voy a matar y me voy a culiar a tu pinche madre." And then the bottom it says, "You fucking asshole, I'm gonna kill you and have sex with your family." But what he really said, "I'm gonna kill you and have sex with your fucking mom right now in front of you while your whole family watches."
Yeah, that's definitely a different version.
So do you think this is the new trend? Because I know Segura's doing one. I think Jesus might be doing one, right?
Jesus Trejo, I hope so. I hope there's more of them.
And then there's
all go on tour Europe. We could all we can all go on tour in Latin America and Europe, man. We could all do 20 minutes. Why do 45?
Yeah, why do 45? Yeah. What's the money like in Mexico and South America? Is there good money?
I have no idea. I don't know, but the comedians that I brought from America to do shows in Mexico, they were getting paid in pesos, bro. They were fucking exchanging that shit at the border. Like for $75, the 50, $75. Man.
You guys could definitely put together like a Latin King of Comedy thing, and tour through wherever they'll have you down there, and then do the States and Canada and all that. I think it just seems like nothing but an upside for what you're doing.
I really had to focus, man, because I speak English all day. Like, I would have to wake up in the morning for the Spanish shows and listen to Piolín in the morning and just Spanish shit. Then I would go to listen to that CNN, the Spanish CNN with Camilo, and then go to Fox Deportes en Español, Fox Sports Spanish, and then listen to a random podcast in Spanish, and then go over my set in Spanish. Then by the time I'm in Tijuana, I have to speak Spanish because no one there speaks English. Everything is fucking Spanish, man. Damn, man, everything is fucking Spanish. And then just get ready, man. It's like focusing, man, like a method actor. I don't speak Spanish. I don't speak English all day to get ready for my Spanish show.
I tried to learn the machine in Spanish. I was gonna do it at Jesus show. So I speak Spanish. Not
You
as
can
good
get
as
try
you
to get two people to translate it for you. Get a Jesus Trejo, and then get another guy with a different style of comedy, so you can have two versions of what you're saying. Because I heard the story. Andaba en un pinche tren yo solo. Andaba con los estudiantes de mi colegio de Florida. Y andaba, yo soy el pinche máquina. Y entraron unos pinches ruscos, cabrones de la KGB. Y me dijeron, ¿eres la máquina? Yo soy la máquina. ¡Ey! ¡Esta es la pinche máquina! Y después estamos robando a todos. Cámbiame la pinche cosa, you know what I mean? You gotta say it, bro. Like, you're there, dog. Like, you gotta be animated, bro. Like, the first time I did an urban show. I fucking bombed. Like, you wouldn't believe, bro. They were calling, I swear to God, bro, but they were introducing me by the second show. Give it up for incoming, you know? Black comedians don't fuck around, bro. Give it up for incoming. You know what I mean? Boom. Get out the way. So they told me this. If you're going to say you're going to walk to the store, don't just say you're going to walk to the store. Black people don't just walk to the store. You got to say who you saw on the way to the store. Did you skip? Did you walk? Did you fucking moonwalk to the store? What color, what street was it? Was there a bird shitting on a fucking clothesline? Mention that shit. Was there a Mexican selling fruit? You're going to talk about Paco on the way to the store, or you're going to lose the audience because they don't know who the fuck you are.
Yeah.
So you got to paint them a picture, Bert. You do it in Spanish.
That reminded me of Reservoir Dogs. And if some nasty motherfucker sprayed diarrhea all over the bowl.
Yeah, man, exactly like that. For real, I used to have a joke that I said that I used to bring in girls to my house and have sex with them, and my brother was sleeping upstairs on a bunk bed. So I would have to make love to her like a prison inmate. I gotta cover her mouth shut the fuck up. You know? But when I would do that joke in the urban audience, it would look like he's doing a sodomizing a man joke, you know, a prison joke. So they told me, Felipe, you gotta talk about what happened on the way to your house. So I would say, yeah, man. So I bring this bitch to my house, right? So I'm walking in my house. I walk over my dad. You know, I get to my room. My brother's sleeping upstairs with his wife and baby. You know, you gotta keep these motherfuckers entertained, dog. They're not like American audience where you tell a joke and they want a next joke. When you do it in Spanish, you gotta tell them what fucking what side the train was coming from. What are the fucking school colors? You know what I mean? What year in college it was? What did that Russian guy smell like? What was his demeanor? Or you gotta keep the fuckers entertained, dog. Spanish audience, you'll lose you, bro.
God damn it! Why isn't there some Mexican comic in Mexico City just going through who speaks English, just going through everyone's act and just murdering
Polo
Spanish?
I don't want to say his name.
It's a guy.
I don't want to say his name.
There's a guy doing that? That's great.
Paul Rodriguez told me that he went to Mexico and he did his act, and then somebody came up to him and told him, "Hey, bro, how come you're doing Polo's act?" And Polo is a known comic in Mexico, like original stand-up comic. All his fucking stories are dirty and they're filthy. And I guess he had borrowed some Paul Rodriguez jokes, according to Paul Rodriguez.
That's crazy.
He did it the same way, and when he was doing them, Paul Rodriguez said he even did my voice like it was like my voice was a character now.
Bert, you know what would be unbelievable? Like, you know, I've done shows in like Switzerland and Finland. Some guy could go up in front of me and already do my act, and I wouldn't even know it. Then I'd come out there and they'd be like, "This guy's doing the same fucking shit." Big disappointment. He came out and stole from the opener after we just saw him. These fucking Americans. No wonder they're so dumb.
Tony Woods. Go ahead.
There's an international comic named Paul Ogata. You know, he's a Chinese comedian. And he went to do a show in China in English, headline the Comedy Store in China and Hong Kong and whatever, right? He goes back over there. His whole act is being done by 3 comics in Chinese and Taiwanese. And they're killing it with it.
Oh, man. Tony Woods called me. Tony Woods called me and he goes, it's like the middle of the night, and he's like, Bert, I'm in Australia. I said, yeah. And he goes, some motherfucker's doing our Tracy Morgan story. I said, what? He goes, there's a guy, because Tony Woods, the Tracy Morgan story, Tony Woods was with me that night. And so it's me, it's me and Tony's story, because it happened to both of us. It's from whatever perspective you hear it from. And he goes, I'm in Australia, and there's some motherfucker doing our Tracy Morgan story. And he goes, and he's using Tracy Morgan's name.
Wow.
International thievery in comedy is a genius idea. Why
are we supporting this? Because I think right now at this low level, Bert, it's funny.
Funny, yeah.
It's funny because it's just something funny about it. I don't know. It's just crazy that some guy in Poland's doing my act, right?
It's because it's money we can't get.
Yeah.
Well, until you go there.
You go, like in Mexico, if you dress up like a clown or like a cholo or any type, like a woman, dressing up like a woman is still big over there, and being a comedian, a straight man dressed like a woman and performing a stand-up act is not frowned upon, it's normal. And a lot of the jokes are old mama jokes that we've heard, vaudeville jokes. Like, here's a joke. They might say the alphabet backwards, out of the old joke or whatever, and they're like, whatever, or
backwards, as you say. Yeah.
They do a lot of vaudeville, old school jokes,
A lot of Milton Berle stuff.
A lot of Milton Berle stuff. Wow. A lot of play on words.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. I know what you mean. It's weird, though, but that's kind of like the evolution of comedy. But you would think that they saw, like, American cinema or whatever. But we were talking about, I think I talked to you about this, Bert. We were just talking about how, like, comedy, why you have to keep going to the comedy clubs, because the young comics keep you young. Just by being around them, your act is going to stay, in 2020 will be in 2020. And it's just like music, where if you take 5-6 years off, which is usually enough time for music to change, like comedy changes enough where you're a little sluggish up there. And if you go longer than that, like back in the day when I used to see guys who had sitcoms that made it into like syndication, and they just sort of stopped doing their act because there was so much money to be made. When they came back to the clubs, it was like they were playing like hair metal or disco, and everybody had moved on to whatever, mumble rap, whatever's going on right now, So I think that maybe because stand-up, for whatever reason, it's so fucked up that stand-up, I know it started here, but it's just so weird that a lot of comedy is early on in so many of these countries where people are going through so much shit that there's more comedy there, I feel. The more you're struggling, there's more comedy. Maybe it's because of oppressive leadership. They don't want people up there shitting on them or whatever. Like when you're talking about that Korean guy, talking about the supreme ruler. He's not talking about a higher power. He's talking about the dictator, right? Am I crazy?
I think so, yeah. I forget the guy's act, but it was like there was a phrase that he kept saying over and over again that was like hot, because I Googled it because I didn't get it. And they're like, no, you cannot say. What he's saying is like, he's the edgiest motherfucker in Korea.
Yeah, and I imagine it's not like he's just going to get canceled. He's going to get canceled.
I bet wokeness in Mexico is just not there.
There's a comedian that came to America because he was canceled in Mexico. Platanito, the guy, the clown, El Platanito, because there was some church, some school burned down, right? Because of bad wiring, and they used cheap equipment for that school. Like everything for that school was done cheap. They cut every corner, and the comedian made like a reference to like a play on words like KFC. He said, "Yeah, they smell like Kentucky Fried Children," like they said that they smell like KFC, something like that when they burn.
But he got canceled for that. He didn't just get booed.
Yeah,
on the
so they
show?
went viral in Mexico. But his joke was really calling attention to the point that these kids burned down and nobody really gives a hell about it because we're focusing on something else. But it looked more like he didn't give a shit about the kids burning, and he's making a joke about it. But he was calling attention to the fact that the school was built real cheap, but nobody got that point. So they canceled him, and he had to go work in the United States.
What about
comic?
Can you say like
huh?
Can you say like maricon and like
yeah?
So you can call people gay and be like, so this maricon's walking down the street and I'm like, hey, chinga y pollo, and he's like, hey, oh, he's like, oh, I'm so gay.
Yeah,
and you can still do that.
This does it on television. He was doing it on television Monday through Friday, bro. I was on his show, and we had to make people laugh. Okay, they had a glass of milk, and they had to spit the milk out if you made them laugh. I tried to make him laugh. He goes up there just like a clown. He goes, they say that women breathe from two places, the mouth and from down here. Because sometimes when I put my hand down there, she goes, and he did that shit on television, and that girl spit out her milk. He won. And then there was another joke where LeBron James.
Make me laugh, Bert.
It's made me laugh, but with milk in the mouth. That's fucking genius.
Oh, that's how you know this is different. This is different. We got milk. There's milk in the mouth.
There was another joke. LeBron James had a finger up his nose, right? And we had to say something funny about it, right? Because LeBron James had a finger up his nose playing basketball. I said a joke, they got to laugh. This other girl said a joke, they got to laugh. The host of the show said, hey, what do my sisters smell like? But he said it in Spanish. Hey, ¿cómo apesta tu pinche hermana, güey? Say that his finger, what do my sisters smell like? And everybody's dying, bro. He got away with a fucking pussy.
So what about like Asian people? Are there people making jokes about Asian people or black people or like?
No, not really. In Mexico, they make fun of Native Americans, like
really,
like the Native Americans that are in Mexico, like Oaxaca and those little Indios. They're really derogatory jokes about them. And I gotta lie to you, man. My mom, whenever our house was dirty, like whenever she came home from somewhere, she would say, "Parece casa de pinche indios aquí." Like pretty much yelling, this fucking house looks like a fucking Native American's house. It is fucking filthy. And she would say that on a regular basis. But then I would look at her, but my grandfather is Native American. You know, he was dancing with fucking beads on his fucking feet in Mexico, selling cheese door to door.
Hey, any comics down in Mexico do topical stuff about politics or some of the drug cartels? Or you just stay away from that shit?
Ooh.
Man, I don't know. No, I don't know that many Mexican comedians. Just the ones I met who are like they're like they don't have TV credits. But I never. Plus, when I first saw a Mexican comedian, it was this one guy. I don't know his name right now, but he wears glasses. And he has really straight, long hair, and he wears a striped shirt. He looks like Nirvana.
Oh, Rodrigo Martinez.
I don't know his name. He had like 3 specials. Jorge or fuck, I can't think of his name right now. But
Jorge Valdez.
Huh?
Jorge Martinez?
No, his name is I don't know his name, but he has long hair. He's very popular.
I'm just guessing Mexican names.
He sells out shows here in America. But when he was talking in Spanish, I mean, everybody was laughing, but I didn't understand a fucking word, bro. I'm sorry, bro. I didn't get it. So when I didn't get it, and he was talking, his Spanish was well educated. He was saying words that would be above my grade level, you know. And I was that's what motivated me, man. I'm thinking if I don't get it, half of my neighborhood I grew up with doesn't get it. And we all speak Spanish. So I said, you know what? I got to do a fucking Spanish special for the motherfuckers who don't get this shit.
Yeah, it's like when I was in Scotland with Patrice, we watched a bunch of Irish comics and like British comics. And Patrice would just sit there with that look on his face like. any wordplay, he'd be like, "What the fuck?" There's this guy Ed Burns. This guy Ed Burns. Patrice hit me on the leg. Guy's very, very funny. Ed Burns, very funny. Patrice goes, "He's about to tell the biggest joke in England right now," and I go, "Okay," and he goes, "I want you to watch me not get it." And I went, "Really?" And he goes, "They told me about this joke earlier. This is the biggest joke." And dude, it got a round of applause like I never heard. And the joke was, it's not a bad joke actually. I was shopping for beds with my wife. The woman showed us a big bed. I said, "It looks like it could sleep 3." And that's all me said. And the place went fucking nuts, right? Because it's suggesting he's going to have a threesome. And Patrice, next to Voss, just does this. Just looking and like touching other people. You like that? You like that? And but Ed was a cool dude. We hung out with Ed. But that one joke.
I know, man. My first time in Montreal, there was this guy killing it, man. I think he's British. And all he had was like his whole bit. And I had to follow him, but I did good. But I couldn't follow him because I kept thinking about how stupid his joke was and how fucking funny it was. How ridiculous funny it was. And how how did I think of this shit? He just had a fucking suitcase handle, man, with a price tag on it.
I've seen that dude.
Fucking destroyed. I lost. Everybody had their package, and we all had a good laugh. But then they all went home, and my bag never came. And then it went another circle, and my bag never came. Bro, I was going to my notes. I was backstage dying, bro, like this. Fuck.
Dude, the ones that make us, I remember Ed Burns had a joke that Patrice and I were shitting ourselves over, and no one was laughing. No one was laughing. It was, Mies was watching Back to the Future. At some point, you'd think that Lorraine, Michael J. Fox's mom, that his dad would look at her across the table and goes, "Are you sure you didn't fuck that Calvin Klein boy? Because our son looks exactly like him." It's a great fucking joke. It's a great joke. The other one that was great, this one comic, someone told me this joke. There's so many great British comics. There really are so many great British comics. Guy goes, I walked into the movie Schindler's List about 5 minutes late. I looked at my friend. I said, "What did the Jews do to Hitler?"
Dude, I saw this. There's a Canadian comedian. His name is Stuart.
I know you do not.
Stuart Francis. And this was the joke. He goes, stupid joke, so fucking funny. He goes, "You never know how far a frisbee is till it hits you." And he goes, I remember the first time my dad took me fishing. I said to myself, "Well, that's a long swim back to the shore." And he keeps bringing up this joke over and over. Finally, at the end, he goes, I went out on a first date. My dad took us. My date couldn't swim. And then he kept going over and over. Like his dad takes some trick-or-treating. Halloween, he said Snoopy costumes are heavy when they're wet. That kind of shit.
Oh,
that's what I like. Also, that Jason Rouse guy with the
Jason Rouse is great.
Yeah, that suck dick joke. God damn, bro.
Is that? That's what I'd love to speak Spanish. I'd love to go down to Mexico City and watch comedy. Like it would be fascinating for me to see it. They
already know who you two guys are. You just go over there and say it in English. Like they know who Bill Burr is. Like they're over there protecting his jokes, and he didn't even know. Like anybody does the Bill Burr jokes, these Mexican comedians know. They'll be like, "Hey, cabrón, ese es uno de Bill Burr. Se echó uno de Bill Burr." They'll yell it out, bro. There ain't no Mexican gonna do
comics, no, but I'd go down there. I wouldn't draw anybody.
But Bill, think how hard you'd kill with just some anti-women shit in Mexico.
If you go to Mexico City, I guarantee you'll sell out a
2,500
seater with English speakers.
I mean, listen, I've been wanting to go to Mexico City because I'm a Formula One fan. and they have this racetrack that goes through an old minor league baseball park, and you can sit in some of the grandstands. It's like a chicane where you go through, and I've just been wanting to do that. If I can actually, and then every rock band that I'm a fan of, when they play Mexico City, you can just tell the experience they had, or just all of Latin America. Because I've seen AC/DC in South America, and I just, compared to like the vibe here in LA where everybody's so over everything, like it must feel like a matinee gig to them compared to remember when Guns N' Roses went down to Mexico City on the first time on this past tour. I just was looking at all their tweets, and they're all just kind of like, wow. Like, we've had crowds into our shit. That was a completely different level. So there is something.
I find it so interesting. I mean, and I know that this is probably not as accurate as I think, but to do comedy for everyone that is the same, looks alike, and is the same ethnicity, you know, that like, imagine doing comedy in Korea if you're Korean. It's from that Bill. It's from that book, Flyboys, is where only Japanese people.
Because you have so many. If you go into cities, you're kind of going to get a mixed bag.
Yeah, but it's fascinating. Imagine just doing a show for like just white people. Well, that's probably. I mean, oddly enough, that's probably what you end up getting a lot of the times. But just white people, but all their experiences are only being a white person around white people. And they don't really have, like you said, because I was like, no one's there. So why would you talk about black people? They're not there.
What is missing though, Bert, is just because everybody's all Mexican and all Korean, they don't have the same experience. So there's going to be the same subsets of type A, type B, conservative, liberal, born with money, born not with money, had money, lost it. Fucking hit the lottery. There's going to be, a mechanic, a doctor. There's going to be all that different type of shit. That's what I learned when I went in and I started doing the Uptown rooms. When I first went in there, it was total culture shock. I was just like, this is a room full of Patrice, right? Patrice, if he never left his neighborhood. And then after doing them for like 6 months to a year, I started seeing people going, oh, that guy's like Bert. Or that guy reminds me of my brother. You start to see people, which is a great thing. That's another great reason to do it, is rather than seeing, a room full of whatever, you actually see individuals. And then within that, you see people like, okay, this guy's doing this person's doing that woman's doing this. Like, that would happen. But when you first go in, I think it would just be like, it was an all Mexican group. I thought he was really interested in my point. He just froze up.
I get it.
It's just like,
man, when I was I got the opportunity to tour with Mike Epps and Ricky Smiley, Earthquake, and
those are three of the big
and Bruce
comics.
DC Curry, and man, I never in my life had to go. I never thought that I would have to follow a comic that gets a standing ovation, followed by a host who's killing and getting standing ovations while hosting. I mean, Ricky Smiley is at a whole different level, man. Like, this guy, if he's hosting, you better come in your fucking A game, man, because he's fucking has the crowd rolling, man. Yeah. He goes up there and goes, I'm outside out of the club, and they think I'm a punk. And the whole audience, 2,000 people. I tell you, I would never stop. I would never stop. Yo, what if you're not comedian? Fuck.
Yeah, we used to have a guy like that in Boston where he didn't host the show. He just took breaks from killing. This guy,
that was Ricky Smiley.
Kevin Knox. And guys would meet up afterwards, and they'd say, what'd you do tonight? You'd be like, oh, I was on Knox's show. And then it was, oh, what bit did you have to follow? His Star Trek bit, his getting pulled over by the cop. Not the skiing joke, because he just had these stories. And every one of them killed in their own way. And like, it was just like, you had to learn. You literally had to learn how to kill. When I don't know what it's like in Boston now, but back then it was just like guys tried to blow you off the stage. And they used to have this whole thing in Boston where they were so protective of the territory that if they brought in, if a national act came in, they would put like 3 just cleanup hitters in front of them, and they would just destroy with just like local reference shit.
Oh man.
Like Colin Quinn, I think is the only guy, or like a Brian Regan. Like those are the only two guys I ever heard that ever survived that gauntlet. Like they liked those guys, they respected them, they survived it. But there was like there's like legendary stories. I can't say the names because I mean I wouldn't have survived it, but of really funny people going in there. And we've all experienced it. You go on the road and there's that guy. Oh, look at this guy. You know, this guy definitely is going to be over in Roosevelt tonight. You're like, what the fuck is Roosevelt? And everybody's losing their minds. And it's just nothing but references you don't fucking understand. Yeah. Oh, this guy grew up on Kelly Street. Am I crazy? And everybody, wah! You just
remember Pookie, the barbershop.
Yeah. And you're standing back there feeling like, I know I speak English too, but I don't think I speak the same English as these people. And you get in your head and you have to get that out and just immediately go up there and be like, yeah, you know, I flew in today. You got to do that just to remind them I'm from somewhere else and have them forget about the local reference headliner that they put in the feature spot.
Yeah, man.
Hey, we didn't say when this special comes out.
The special comes out September 1st on Netflix. 2 specials, Bad Decisions, Malas Decisiones.
I can't wait to watch it. By the time
this airs, it'll be out.
I can't wait to watch it. I keep saying Jesus. I've been with Jesus on a bus for a month. I can't wait to watch it, Felipe. It's so. I watched the trailer, dude. You really are. You really are one of the best comics in our business. By hand, one of the best joke writers, but one of the best storytellers. So when you pull me into a story, I really feel like I'm there. I feel like you know what I feel like. I feel like we're in the backyard, and you just grabbed us all beers and shut the cooler, and you're just telling me a story. Just I
also think you got a big acting career ahead of you, but you'll probably have to take a major pay cut from your stand-up gigs after these 2 specials come out.
Yeah, man.
Tom Cruise, I'd love to do that movie, but
man, I always want to be into people. It's funny, like when you meet the fans after the show, they always tell you what movie you should be in with. Bro, De Niro and you should be in a movie together. I always tell people, bro, listen, bro, I am 6'1", 285 pounds. De Niro, probably like 5'8", 5'4". The only way I'm gonna be in a movie with him if he's shooting me or I'm dying because of in his hands. I want to be in a movie with a Rock, you know. Oh, yeah. Just a small little role, you know. The fucking Rock crashes his airplane in the jungle. He walks into a bar. He's looking for a fucking pilot. I'm looking for a guy named Ramos. I come out of the fucking bar with fucking shit stains and slob and smelling like cum and shit. That's a name I haven't heard in 25 years. You're probably looking for a pilot. Let me find my plane. It's over here in the jungle. Pablo Escobar. He never fucking paid me. I kept the plane. You know, something like that, man. I'm just in for like 5 minutes, out, get my check, get my fucking craft service, and go home.
All right, I got one for you. You know what scene I want to do in a movie? I want to be that dude getting chased down the alley by the cops, and you get to the chain link fence, and you get halfway up, and then they grab you, and you get to be like, yeah, and they pull you down, and then fucking handcuff you and be a little fucking ratting people out.
I know my scene.
At some point, I got to overturn a trash can too as they're chasing me.
I want to be in a mansion in the hills, smoking crack while 3 guys sit on a couch trying to buy coke from me with an Asian guy throwing fireworks.
Yeah. Hell yeah, that's fucking boogie nights.
Hey, Ricky Springfield, he's a friend of mine. What's up, babies? Oh, God.
And having like live UFC fights in your living room.
We should do it.
Random guy.
Bill, I got the next show. You ready? The next show. I got it. All Things Comedy, new television show. We'll just put it online. Fuck it. We'll do it online. It's called Scene Stealers. And it's comics getting to recreate their favorite scenes in movie that they get to star in. So we get to pick it's almost like we make our perfect acting reel so that casting directors can see us in what we think we can do.
Now, do you do it verbatim or do you switch it up?
Verbatim, right?
I think you do it verbatim, but I'm never going to be able to remember lines. So I'll add things to I'll make my character more interesting. I want to show them what I can bring to it.
Did you ever see Sean Patton, Paul Verzi, and Giannis Pappas did the Billy Bat scene but they did it as comedians.
No.
Oh, yeah, and the guy playing Billy Bats. Yeah, I knew this guy when he's doing open mics. And Verzi's going like, hey, I don't know if you heard, I don't do open mics anymore. I don't do open mics anymore. It was like the Goodfellas scene.
A good one, eh?
Yeah, it was and the way they shot it, it's fucking incredible. So I had to throw that out there before we start pitching.
You should have two comedians. You think I stole your joke? You think I stole your joke? You think I stole your joke?
You laughing at me?
You laughing at me?
No, they did a whole series, and I was going to do one where I was going to be the bald dude in Top Gun. And basically, remember, you two characters are going to Top Gun. Basically, the headliner somehow couldn't make the gig. So it'd be like, you two middle acts are going to close the club. That's stupid. Anyway, I think we're getting up against it here. We got to read some advertising. Felipe, I am so fucking happy this is happening for you. I'm so psyched that you got this in before the coronavirus and all this shit. You really are one of the best guys out there. And, and as a person, dude, you're all right. Yeah. You're playing with your titties and the accordion. What is it called? Bad decisions. How do you say it in Spanish?
Malas decisiones.
Malas
is already out by the time this airs. Tuesday, September 1st. This
Netflix.
Guy, if you don't know about him, you got to get to know this guy. This guy, he's amazing. So, Felipe, thank you so much for coming on, and I hope this takes you to bigger and better things.
Thank you for having me, Bill and Bert. Thank you for everything you guys do. All things comedy, providing a place for us to do our shit without getting ripped off, and always being a nice guy with me and everybody else, man. Thank you.
Oh, absolutely. That's why we created it, man.
Oh, funniest thing you ever said. First of all, I'm not trying to be I am a fan, but when you did the roast of Patricia O'Neal, that old YouTube video, that shit's hilarious.
Oh God, that was one of the.
Damn, bro! When you said, "Could you destroy Rich Voss?" Oh my God!
I don't even remember what I said.
And then Bert, man, your stand-up, your fucking Netflix special, amazing, bro. When you took your shirt off.
Thank you, brother.
And shit, and you did the tour, you're doing the drive-in, bro.
Yeah.
I copy a lot from you, bro. I mean, not like your jokes, but everything you do business-wise. The swimming pool, I'm gonna fix my pool too. I got me a treadmill. I got me a fucking sauna. I don't want to show off, but I got me a sauna too. Sorry about your dog also. And I didn't get no chicken yet, but no chickens yet, but they get the pool. I just need a big family, but I'll get there, bro.
All you got to do is do a dance video like me and Tom did. Shoot a dance video. Post a special.
I want to get there, bro, but I have like extra layers right now. I have a 6-pack with a couple of beer, 40 ounces open.
All right, Felipe Esparza, Bad Decisions, and what else is it called? I already forget.
Malas Decisiones, September 1st, Netflix.
No, I can't say it. I'm not fucking up. Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Appreciate it.
All right, buddy. We'll see you.